Hello, everyone, and welcome. In the next hour, you are going to take an idea from your brain and turn it into a working app prototype with AI. Now, you are not here to pretend to be engineers. You are going to do what engineers actually do. Notice a problem, understand the system around it, design a small solution, test it, and improve it. Now, some of you may already code, and some of you may have never built an app. Both are completely fine. Today, the challenge is not who can type code the fastest. The challenge is who can give the clearest direction, notice what the system is doing, and improve it with evidence. Now, you will not need to answer me in the chat. There are a lot of you here today and only one of me, so I am sorry in advance that I cannot give you individualized attention. Also, here at the foundation, there are only about a handful of us, so unfortunately we do not have the manpower to answer everyone's questions live. However, we would still love to hear from you and also see the amazing things that you create. At the end of the webinar, I will tell you how to do so. All right, so if you fall behind, do not panic and don't skip ahead either. Just stay on your step. This session is being recorded and it'll be available to you guys in about a week or two, so you can finish it later and follow along. Now, we are going to spend the first half hour really sharpening that axe, really focusing on planning and preparing for the vibe coding part. And then the second half of the half hour, we will actually start the real vibe coding. Now, please bear with me because we will start off really slow and create a super solid foundation, and then it's going to skyrocket from there. We're going to learn how to think in systems. Then, when we vibe code, there will be checkpoints every few minutes where I will check in with you and give you tips and tricks of where we should be. Even if you are a seasoned coder or vibe coder, hopefully you will still learn some tips and tricks to make creating with AI a little easier. All right, so we will be doing a lot of sketching and planning first. Again, sharpening that axe. And engineers sketch because a sketch lets us see an idea before we spend time building it. Now, your drawings do not need to look artistic. Boxes, arrows, stick figures, and messy handwriting all count, and I will be drawing live here as well. And I can assure you, which you will soon see, I am not an artist, so no shame. Let me show you the fastest way to get an app that you do not really want. It is this. Make me a cool blank app. Now, this sounds reasonable, but what does cool mean? Which problem are we solving? What should happen when the user clicks something? What should the app remember? The AI has absolutely no idea. It cannot read your mind. So what does it do? It guesses, it may create a calendar, a chatbot, 5 screens, and even a motivational llama. And it may look impressive for 12 seconds and then become impossible to control. Guys, that is not vibe coding. That is vibe hoping, expecting a miracle out of nothing. AI builds quickly, and it can be very confident, but it can also be confidently wrong. So our job is to replace guessing with smart engineering. Now, think of the AI as a very fast junior builder. It can make things at incredible speed, but it needs an architect. So the architect decides who the design is for, what belongs in the system, how the pieces connect, what the limits are, and whether the result is safe and useful. And that architect, guys, is you. So today you will use one loop to direct the AI, and it is called BUILD, B-U-I-L-D. Now, this acronym will help us to think in systems, and I think it'll be very helpful to remember in the long run. So, build is a loop, not a straight road. Engineers move backward and forward as they learn. If testing reveals that we misunderstood the problem, we go back. If a feature is too large, we make it smaller. Every loop makes the design stronger. So, our 3 rules for today are: think in systems, build in pieces, improve with evidence. Okay, so now we will start with B, begin. Begin with a need. Okay, so I want you to start with a real life bug, not a bug, like a problem in real life. If you haven't already thought about it, this is the perfect time to think about it. I'm going to go ahead and draw live, and actually think about it with you guys as I sketch. So most people begin by naming a product. I want to make a game, I want to make a planner, I want to make an AI tutor. But engineers begin one step earlier. They begin with a person experiencing a problem. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to try to think of a real life problem, and I'm going to think aloud while I sketch. So I'm going to do maybe like a real life bug here. So I'm going to name it that. And if you could follow along with me and actually think about a problem in real life, you can watch me first and then I'll give you guys time to actually sketch as well. So my rough idea is a giant like AI super homework app. So that's what I'll name it. And I could add a chatbot. And I could add maybe some music. Let me see, what else could I add? Maybe a calendar. Everything. But what problem am I actually solving? What's the real problem here? These are just features for the app. So, okay, my story could be a student wants to start homework, but there are several assignments and they cannot decide what to do first. So they start delaying. So this is my person, and maybe they have homework, but there's so many different kinds of assignments, they don't know where to start. And then they start delaying, and then they actually never start at all. So I want to help them actually get started somehow. So what's your story? What's the story for your need, the need that your user has? So I want you to go ahead and actually use this little pattern. Who wants what, but what gets in the way? So what happens? So for my example, a student wants to begin homework, but comparing several assignments feels overwhelming, so they keep delaying. And that is the structure. Okay, so now it's your turn. Think of one small frustration, and it can be anything in your daily life, whether it's from school, home, club, music, anything. And just think of a real world problem and something that an app could do to make it better. Now, you could think of an idea if you were having a hard place to start. Think of maybe someone having a hard time remembering to practice a skill, tracking water for a plant, dividing chores fairly, or deciding what to pack for an activity. We're going to try to keep today super simple. And I'm going to go ahead and give you guys about a minute to work on that. And once the timer ends, we'll go on to the next section. And so as you can see below, I actually have a little prompt you can just fill in. That's our need. Person needs a better way to blank because of blank. So try to think about that, and we want our need to be in one sentence. All right, go ahead. I'm going to say something quickly. If you notice what was not in my sentence, it was no, there wasn't a chatbot or colors or even the word app in my one need sentence. We are just defining the need before choosing the solution. We want to make sure we have the need down pat and we can say it in a sentence. All right, let's continue. So now we want to add a success statement with our need. So our success statement will start with, we will know it helps when. So we have our need, and we know it will help our user when, in my case, the student chooses a task in my app and begins within 30 seconds. That's how I know that my app is actually helping, and that is my success checkpoint. Go ahead and complete this here. I will give you a minute to do so. Make sure that your success is something that you could actually observe. Ready to go? All right, now it's time for the next part of our system. We started with B, begin with a need. Now we actually have to understand the system. We're going to move on to U. Now, a problem never lives alone. It is part of a system. People, information, actions, rules, limits, consequences that affect one another. And here's the most useful systems thinking question you can ask today. When this changes, what else should change? So I'm going to keep sketching now, and we're going to look at our system boundary. So I'm going to go ahead and pull it up here, okay? And let's say that this circle is our system boundary. Now inside the circle goes what the app can control, and then, there we go. And then outside the circle goes the real world, the actual things that the app cannot influence or control. Now, inside my app, I'm going to think about things that it can control. Just a few things here. Maybe like task names, like my user's going to create the tasks for the homework assignments they're going to complete. Maybe the order of it. Maybe completion status and a progress count. And then outside are things that my app can't control. So this could be whether the student understands the assignment, or whether the teacher changes the deadline, or whether the student actually sits down and does the work. They stop playing on their phone and does it. So these are things that my app cannot control. And good engineers are really honest about boundaries. What can be controlled and what cannot. So an app can support a person, but it cannot magically control them or solve every connected problem. So what will your app handle? And what will it not handle? What are the boundaries? What can it do and what can it not do? just brainstorm just a couple of things here. So just write 2 or 3 things that your app will do, and write 1 thing that it will not manage. Again, I'm going to give you just about a minute or 2 to work on this, and you can kind of see what I have here. I just scribbled my drawing of just an idea here, but of course you can write it. You don't have to draw it, just whatever works for you. So I'm going to give you guys a minute on that. I'm going to be quiet now so you guys can work on that. And guys, if you're having trouble keeping up, I know we're going at a really fast pace. Don't worry, just take notes about different parts of the systems to keep in mind, and then when we have time where you guys will work on it by yourselves, then you'll have time to catch up then. So no worries, just take notes if you can, just to stay on track. Okay, so now we are going to check 6 parts of the system. And you do not need full sentences here. 1 or 2 words is enough for each. And I'm going to go ahead and we'll talk about our 6-part system check. So the first one is people, who uses it, and who else might be affected. The next one is input, what information enters. Actions, what can the user do. Outputs, what does the app show or produce. Rules, what decisions or changes must happen. And limits, what will keep the first version small and safe. So let's go ahead and back to my example for my study app. We're going to go ahead and we'll start doing the 6 system check. So I'm looking at the top. I have it in the upper right hand corner of the screen. So for people, it's going to be the student, you know, most likely a teen. And then for the input, I'm just going to keep it short, maybe like a task name, something that they're going to put in. So that's arrow is pointing inside, like it's going inside. The action, like maybe like a person running. Is maybe clicking add or complete. Maybe that would be it. And this is going to be, of course, a verb. So we're going to be using the word clicking. So they're actually going to be doing something. And the outputs are the task list, maybe, like the list of everything that they did. And also progress count, yes. So that's going to be the output. What else am I missing? Rules. So when a task becomes complete, we'll do a rule here. I'm going to do like maybe like a constitution or something. So rules, when a task becomes complete, then the count increases. And then finally, maybe we're going to have like a limits. And there could be a lot of things that limit the user from using it. I think maybe if they don't have internet, that could be a huge one. Like maybe my app uses Wi-Fi, maybe. Or if they don't have an account, that could really limit them. So all of these are limitations. So this is the 6 system check. I'm just checking for these things to make sure that my app has them. Again, we're creating a super simple app here. You know, we're not adding a lot of actions. This is just to learn how to think in systems and vibe code and give the AI clear direction. So if you can explain the system simply, you are ready to map it. And if it takes 10 minutes to explain, your idea is just a little bit too large for today. So I'm going to give you guys just a few minutes to really work on that. So I'm going to give you guys 2 minutes to set your system boundary according to what you're creating. And we're doing the 6 system check here. So remember, it's going to be person, input, action, output, rules, and limits. Okay. Okay. So now we are going to turn this idea into a blueprint. It's the I portion of it, imagine and map. And it's all about going in the system, things, actions, roles, and feedback. Now, this is where it stops becoming a wish and it becomes the real thing. Now, up until this point, what do we have? So let's go ahead and take a look back at our notes. So going back at the beginning, we have our need, a real life problem that we are trying to solve. Then we looked at our system boundaries, what our app can handle and what it cannot handle. Then we did a 6-part system check. And now we are going to create a map by pulling pieces of our 6-part system and connecting the changes. Okay, so things, like I said before, is the first one, and it's the information the app remembers or displays. And actions is what the user can do. Rules is what changes under condition. And feedback is how the app shows the user what happened. So let's actually draw this together. And so I'm going to do the first one. I'm going to do things. And so for my study app, the things are tasks and completion status and completed count. And then the actions are, they'll add a task and then complete a task. The rule is, and guys, you've already done most of this work already with the 6 check, right? So you have what you need here. We're just making it into a full system so we know what happens when. Here, the rules are going to use logic. If. Look at that if statement right there. If a task is completed, increase the count by 1. And then our feedback is going to be a visual change that our user will actually see on the task and an updated progress number. That's for me though. Yours can look completely different. Again, this is whatever you're doing. But remember, whatever app you are doing, we're going to have things, actions, rules, and feedback, and we're using all of the 6 system check that you just did, and we're putting it together so we can see how everything connects. We can see it all here. When the student enters the task for my app, the app stores the task, then they complete the task, and then the app changes its status. So there's action happening based on something. So every action has a reaction. And then the progress increases, and then they can actually see it on the screen. Okay, so this is a cause and effect state without needing technical vocabulary. So I want you to go ahead and map one working loop for your idea, and notice how something changes inside the system. Something causes something else to change. We are almost at launch, guys. We are at the I, which was imagine and map. We're about to go to L, which is launch something. We're about to get ready to vibe code in a couple of minutes here. So go ahead, make sure that this is done, because you will see how all of the information that you have just gathered, that you've just brainstormed, will help you in actually getting into the vibe coding portion, which is really exciting. Okay, so go ahead. I'll give you guys a couple of minutes on the clock. And again, if you get behind, no worries. Just take notes on what to work on when you have the time. And again, the recording will be sent out to you guys so you guys can work on it then. Just remember, when you look at your map, when this changes, what else should change? And if you cannot answer this yet, make sure that you add that missing arrow, because that arrow may become the most important sentence in your AI prompt. The AI needs that information. If you don't know what it is, the AI is not going to know what it is either, guys. Okay, so now it's time for the L in build, which is launch something small. Now, one user, one problem, one working loop. We are ready to use AI, almost ready, but we are not asking it to build our entire dream on the first try. A small app that works is more impressive than a giant app that almost works. So to launch, make a pact with your AI. P, person and purpose. A, actions. C, connections. And T, tiny target. So we are going to do this together, and I'm going to actually go ahead and put this prompt here in the chat for you guys. And you guys can copy it and paste it if you would like, or follow along with me. I will give you guys a couple of options in just a second. And if you notice, here is the full packed prompt. Now the P is for person and purpose. Who is it for and what should it help them do? You can actually see that in the first line of my prompt. Then the actions, what can the user actually do? Choose just 2 or 3 actions, not 20. C is for connections. What should the app remember or display? And when something happens, what else should change? And T is that tiny target. What must the first version include? What boundary will keep it small, and what should the AI not add? Now, if you notice, there's a tiny addition at the bottom, and it says to the AI, before coding, summarize the parts and connections in 3 short bullets. This allows us to check and see if the AI and us are on the same page. Then it can start building a working version, and if a small detail is missing, make the simplest reasonable choice. Do not add features I did not request. Now, you can fill this in yourself, this entire packed prompt. This is for my beginners. Or you can paste the notes, all of the notes that you guys did today, which was phenomenal. We spent the first 30 minutes making notes, actually building the ground for our app. And you can type it up and give it to your AI and ask it to organize it into packed or a good prompt for your vibe coding app. Then you inspect the prompt that it gives you before sending it to your vibe coding tool. Now, AI may help write the instructions, but remember, you are the architect. You are still approving the decision. Also, you can give it a design. I'm just giving it, if you notice on the tiny target, I just gave it 3 visual words. Mine are going to be focused, encouraging, and energetic. And 3 words are enough to guide the look without letting design distract us from the working loop. Okay, so now I'm actually going to complete mine here live and we can work on it together. So if you're new to it, you can fill out this packed prompting formula and just fill out all the information and then pop it into your vibe coding app. Or again, put in your notes in the AI of your choice, have it create a prompt for you to then put into your vibe coding app of choice. We'll talk about that in a minute. We are not launching yet. Please hold on. We are just creating our prompt. All right, so let's go ahead and fill it in live. All right. I'm going to work quietly. I'm going to give you guys about 4 minutes. And you can actually see me typing live on the screen. So take your time and work on your prompt and do it however you would like. But remember, keep the 6 system check. Everything, all those notes that you created is going to help in this process. All right, I am done. Again, it's a lot. We don't have a lot of time, so no worries. If you do not finish, you can still work on it during our vibe coding build section, okay? Now, before you launch, I would like for you to perform one scope check. Can your first version work on one page or one main screen? Does it focus on one user and one problem? And can you explain its main loop in one sentence? Just one. We're keeping it super simple. And then we will add on top of it using the build system. So if yes, you are ready. If no, just remove features until the answer becomes yes, until we're down to just one simple thing in each section. Now, last thing before you get started is the debugging. I will not be able to debug everyone's apps, and I'm sorry I can't be there to help you, but you can, and you will definitely be able to do so. Now, the first version of your app will not be perfect. Just prepare yourself emotionally for that. It will not be perfect. And that is not an emergency, guys. It's okay. That is engineering. A bug is evidence. It tells us where our instructions, our logic, or the AI's code does not match what the system should do. So I'm going to help you out with that. Try to use 3 moves: predict, test, explain. So predict what should happen, test what actually happened, and explain what is different and what might have caused it. Now remember, the AI can't read your brain, so you have to be very specific. And if you would like a prompt to help you with that, I have created one here, and I am going to go ahead and pop it into the chat for you guys, and you guys can use it. But if you don't want to use it, no problem. Just remember to think what should happen, what actually happened, and what might have caused it. So you give the AI evidence so it knows exactly where the mistake was and how it should fix it. Okay? I just put it in the chat. Now remember, never send to the AI, "It is broken, please fix it, it's not working." It's important that it understands what took place. Okay? So tell it that what the problem was and what behavior it needs to fix. And also, if you notice right here at the bottom, I say do not redesign the rest of the app. If you like the way it looks, make sure you add that note, because the AI likes to go wild and do its own thing sometimes. All right, it's time. So in the next few minutes, you will launch one small version, test it, repair it, and improve one thing. Now, I will build my study app on the screen too, and every few minutes I will give you a checkpoint. And again, you do not need to be at the same point as me. If you get behind, stay where you are. Do not chase my screen. Build your loop. Just remember the build framework. And don't go by my timeline, okay? So let's start with sprint 1. First thing I'm going to do is I am going to copy and paste my packed prompt, beginner, easy peasy, into my vibe coding app of choice. Now, I'm going to use Google AI Studio. There are so many different apps that you can use, guys. Hopefully you got the memo to choose one that works for you, a vibe coding app that works, and you can use Google AI Studio, Replit, Lovable. There are so many out there. Personally, when I'm actually building real robust apps, I use Claude Code on my machine. In the terminal, but for here we're gonna keep it super simple. Okay, we're just gonna go ahead and use Google AI Studio, and remember, you have everything with you, so let's go ahead and get started. I'm going to set the timer for 4 minutes, and we're going to give it time to build. If we need more time, I will adjust the timer as well. Okay, let's see what happens. Remember, guys, to read the 3 bullets that it gives you before it builds. Ask yourself, is this my person? Is this my purpose? Is this my working loop? If the summary is wrong, stop it with one clear correction. If it is right, let it build, okay? Also, a quick reminder, my friends, do not enter personal information, passwords, private school information, or API keys. Your prototype does not need them. Also, make sure that you have the correct permissions from your parents before moving forward with anything. All right, let's continue to build Sprint 2. Again, you do not have to be at my pace. Just keep in mind some of the points that I'm bringing out, okay? So right now, we are going to the next section, and this is your checkpoint. We're going to find the working loop. Find that single action that makes your system move. Pause for 5 seconds. Hang in there, guys. Pause. Look at me. Pause. Okay. So, in my app, it is adding a task and then marking it complete. That is what my loop is. So, my task, adding it, and making sure that I can check the box, that is what I'm checking for. Try your main action once and just ignore the way it looks for now. The AI vibe coding tool that I used allowed me to choose design features, but right now we are looking for behavior. And if nothing is clickable, if nothing is working, if you just have a prototype and it's not working the way you intended, ask the AI, finish only the main working loop from my original prompt. Do not add new features. And remember to use that debugging prompt that I put in the chat. And if the AI did go wild and added extra features, do not feel obligated to keep them. Remember, you are the architect, and you can tell it, remove the extra features and keep only my tiny target. So remember, you are in charge, guys, okay? So let's go ahead and work on that one loop, okay? Gonna give it 2 minutes, and I'm going to check to see if this simple action that I want is working. Okay, so I'm looking at what was created, and it has like this motivational statement at the bottom. Now, guys, my app is basically a glorified checklist, and I definitely expect you guys to create something larger than life than what I created. But it doesn't have to be. It can be super simple, like this, like my glorified checklist. So it's okay. So it added this, and I'm okay with it. I'm not going to tell it to fix that. I actually like it. And it did add a couple of ones already in the queue just so that I know how it works. So super simple, easy peasy lemon squeezy, nice. I like it. Now let's go on to build sprint number 3, okay? So I want you to stop and we are going to test like an engineer, okay? First, use the app normally, whatever app you have created, and try something to test whether it's working or how it will respond. So try maybe an empty input or enter something long and extreme or characters that aren't actual words. Repeat an action. Try to undo or reverse an action. Just check to see how your app's behavior is functioning. So this is the third part of the build sprint cycle. And remember guys, this is recorded. So once you do this if you like to look at the recording, you can just go through this entire build sprint cycle multiple times until you get the app that you want. Whether it's a simple app like the one I'm creating today or something really huge, which you may do in the future. But remember, today we just wanted to keep it super simple just for today, okay? Let's go ahead. So I'm going to go ahead and play around. Let's do 2 minutes on the clock, and then we'll go to the next sprint cycle. I'm just going to be testing different things. Ah, wow. It actually has a check there. Let me see if I can just do random stuff. Ah, it accepted it. That's something I may want to change. All right, guys, so what I gathered from my glorified checklist is that I can't enter an empty task. It won't allow me to do that. But I can actually enter text. Uh-oh, looks like I lost it. Hang on 1 second. I can't enter empty text, but I can enter random characters and long text as well. So I may want to actually change that. So we're going to spend the next 2 minutes, or 4, we'll do about 4 minutes, debugging. Also, I apologize, we're going to go over time for about 10 minutes. Please bear with me. And we're going to debug it, tell the AI what happened, what we expected to happen and what we would like to happen. And then we are going to tell it that before changing the code, to check what is the likely cause, and then to make only that needed fix. So I'm going to do that. And then after the AI makes the change, we're going to repeat the same test, see if the behavior is fixed. It may not be fixed today, so you may have to do that on your own time later after we have finished, and I may have to do the same because we are running out of time. But we do want to work with it going back and forth until we complete the behavior, okay? So let's go ahead and we'll do our debugging sprint. And let's go ahead and repair with evidence. You can follow along with me or work on it yourself. Use the debugging prompt that we used before. And now I'm going to make some changes and see if I can actually get the behavior to change. It's debugging, and remember, debugging takes a while, so no worries if it does not finish debugging today, guys, or during our time together. You can still work on it this evening. And remember, we're not fixing the entire app. There may be a lot of things that may not be working with your app, guys. Just one thing at a time, okay? We're just doing it together, one thing at a time, practicing debugging with the correct prompt. All right, so we're gonna pause here. Now, I managed to get it to actually debug and do it. And now I will not enter invalid unidentifiable text or random characters. It actually works. I get a little red mark there and it doesn't go in. So that's what I wanted. So if you were able to debug one thing and actually get it to work, you have earned an upgrade. So now just choose one upgrade. Maybe it is a reset action, an improving instruction, maybe a color contrast, an additional button. But just remember, before you add it, think when this changes, what else should change. Make sure that you think about that, guys. So make sure you think, when this changes, what else should change? We're going to improve, we're going to upgrade it, but we have to keep that in mind. Okay, so here's the upgrade prompt here. You can actually copy this if you would like. I will pop it into the chat if you would like to use mine, or you could use your own. Just remember, if you are going to use your own, think about things such as describe it, what's the purpose, and when something happens, what else happens because of that. And you want to tell the AI to keep all existing working behavior unchanged, especially if you like the features you have, okay? Gonna pop that in. And I'm going to give you guys a good 2 minutes to work on that, okay? I think I'm going to add a 5-minute sprint timer, so it's no longer a glorified to-do list app. Ooh. So exciting. Okay. Let's try it. And the sprint begins. Let's see if it works. There is the little timer, and it's actually starting here. So my little timer worked. Yay. Okay, so I got an upgrade. And guys, that is the whole part about systems thinking. You can just go through the build cycle again and again, adding it piece by piece, doing small bits of debugging, do small bits of improvements, and keeping and expanding upon it. Today we did something super simple and super small. Now, one last thing before we end. We want to do an impact check, okay? So as engineers, they are responsible for not only whether a system works, but for how it affects people. So does the app collect information it does not need? Could someone use it in an unintended way? Or who might find it difficult to use? Choose one risk and one design response. So mine might be a student with low vision could struggle. So I may increase the contrast labels. I think this is pretty contrasty, you know, but we can change it. And if you have time, ask the AI for only one small accessibility improvement that does not change the app's purpose, but makes it easier for your user. Okay? So that is what I would like to offer for you guys today, is to really think about that. Always think about your user. That's what makes great engineering. All right, guys. Now, let's finish off for today. Return to the need statement you wrote at the beginning. Does this prototype help that person move toward that goal? Run your main loop one final time from the beginning, and then confirm that the action works, the system changes, and the user receives feedback. And save your project using the options in your tool. Now, if it gives you a share or publish option, please follow your parent or guardian's guidance, and the platform's rules. Do not publish personal information, guys, okay? If your app is unfinished, please save it anyway or keep working on it this evening. A clear, unfinished prototype is useful evidence, and you can return to it with the recording and continue the build loop. You have all the information here. You guys have done the work. You're ready to go. You guys have done amazing. I want you to look at what is on your screen right now. Maybe it looks polished. Maybe it is super simple. Guys, I just did a glorified to-do app. So maybe it's super simple, or maybe it's just still fighting you. We wanted to keep it simple today, guys, because we wanted to learn about systems engineering and the design process and how to think in systems so that we can go from little tiny apps like this to really big apps in the future, and we can use the same systems to do so. Okay, so what matters today is that you did more than ask AI to make something. You identified a human need, you set a boundary, you mapped connected parts, you launched a small system, you tested it with evidence, and you improved it responsibly. That is engineering. AI was fast, but you provided the direction. Remember, one person, one problem, one working loop. Keep it simple. And a small app that works completely is more impressive than a giant app that almost works. Thank you for building with me today, Path.